Hi, welcome to week 5, session 2, In the Soup. I call this stage of the novel In the Soup. I love getting to this stage because I love soup, and soup is nurturing and it simmers. And if you're making homemade soup, it takes time and it needs to be on the stove for a while. I grew up in New York City across the hall from an Italian American family who cooked sauce for days, literally cooked sauce for days. That sauce was fantastic. And I think that's probably where I picked up my soup making techniques. And when you're in the soup with your novel, you are immersed. So I think it's interesting that where's my funnel? Oh, right, you're immersed here, like you're up to your neck, right? You're really, uh, you're in it. And a couple of things about this stage. It's a, it's a, it's a more, it's an increasingly intense stage when you're in the soup. Because just think about that. Think about being in a giant sized kettle, big enough to hold a human, and you're just in there brewing and simmering. And have you ever sat in a jacuzzi? You know that feeling. First of all, you're up to your neck, and you just kind of like, because it's really warm. It's an intense, enveloping feeling, and it feels good, but it's also intense. Often you need to kind of cool off. Just it's nice to get some air. Maybe you want to take a little nap afterwards. So when you're in the soup, when you a couple of things. One, you are working with your novel at a more granular level. That means that your intensity, that's number 2, your intensity of focus is greater than it has been. You are more deeply, 3, you are more deeply immersed. And as a result, 4, you will be tapping more deeply into your own capacity, your brain stores, your energy stores, which means 5, it's important that you be aware of your rhythms and honor them, that you are resting. I was reading an article recently that said that talked about the myth of the writer going for days at a time and not resting. I've certainly had my share of creative bursts. However, using some very high profile authors of historical note in this article, the reality is that well-known writers slept a lot, like 10 hours, 12 hours a day. I actually sleep a lot. I always have. So this notion of being immersed in the soup of your novel, going more deeply, tapping more deeply into your energy stores, and your being immersed at a level of focus that is deep requires you to work like a rat on a treadmill for 14 hours, and that's not the case. In fact, complete opposite. You still are going to be honoring your rhythms, whatever they happen to be. Mine tend to be in 90-minute or 3-minute 90-minute or 3-hour blocks. And I have to tell you, at this stage of my novel, I nap frequently. And I was very heartened to read about these historical authors who do that, because I was like, oh my God, I just, after working on my novel at this level, I've literally said to myself, oh my God, I have to take a nap. And I have to refresh and restore. And I understand we all have different types of lives, so you will need to look at your own rhythms and how those rhythms interplay with the external aspects of your life so that you can rest and recharge in ways that still allow you to be in the world and tend to the people that you love and manage your responsibilities. However, this is it's I feel like I'm being very serious now, but you're still having fun, but we're at a different energy place in our novel, and uh, it just requires us to tend to ourselves as much as we are tending to the novel, because we're going to get very excited, and we're going to see this novel take shape with each iteration, as I talked about in session 1 of this week, diving deep. In each iteration of chapter, you're going to go, wow, this is really emerging, and you're going to continue to make discoveries. So you're not necessarily in editing mode, you're not cleaning up language, because we haven't even gotten to the section called language, which is really about poetry. I mean, right now we've got hunks of clay that we're trying to shape and make sense out of within the context of the world that we've created. So we're trying to get into a readable flow for ourselves and for others. I don't care, and I'm encouraging you not to care whether or not it's pretty. That, frankly, is a waste of time. We're not looking at the poetry of language. We're not looking at the rhythm or the musicality of language. We are looking at, does this make sense? All of this information that I have culled over the weeks, now, how I need to make that flow from chapter to from sentence to from word to sentence to paragraph to chapter. That's what we're doing. So if you want to spend a lot of time in the dictionary and the thesaurus and poetry and wishing you could write like this one, that one, or the other one, I I suspect you will be challenged to complete your novel by December 1st. Part of this process of deep dive in the soup is mobility. Okay, you want to move, you're able to work deep, yet also move quickly, because you are not obsessing and ruminating and going back over your work when it's still embryonic and spending days polishing a chapter with content that may wind up on the cutting room floor because your own subconscious says this doesn't work, or your conscious mind says this doesn't work, or your readers say this doesn't work. If 5 people read your book and they all tell you it doesn't work, it probably doesn't work. And if you have spent weeks polishing that chapter, then you have not invested your time in a way that best serves you and your novel. Alrighty? So I've been a little serious, but that's because I want to be focused and on track with my messages to you and not get lost in my own, you know, video mode. So we're still having fun, we're still taking breaks. I went for a scooter ride this morning. I've been walking. I've been making paper dolls. Again, it's October, and I'm making Halloween paper dolls, and I'm sending them to friends. I rented a movie. I'm watching movies. I watch TED Talks. I love TED Talks. They really open your mind. So we're still having fun, all right? And especially important when you're in the soup. Listen, have a great week. Enjoy being in the soup. Mm, mm. And I will see you next week, week 6.